Guys, I'm so fired up. I'm so pumped. Had a brutal strength training workout. Finished off with abs. I think I broke an ab. I had took it to the limit, had an out-of-body experience. But I'm striving. I'm ready to fight arm in arm with my brothers, my colleagues, my peers, those who I advise, those who seek my support. I'm here for you. I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's go. Let's take on the world. I had the other day a great conversation with a fellow sales trainer by the name of Chris Murray. Very, very inspirational guy, very motivating guy. He founded a sales training firm by the name of Varda Cruz. Check them out. And he's written a number of books. His latest book is Selling with Ease. Have a look at that. And we were talking about the clients that he likes to work with. I was asking him about what markets he tends to focus on: aerospace, or automotive, retail. And funnily enough, he didn't answer the question the way I expected. What Chris brought up was this whole concept about the clients he chooses to work with, the customers that he seeks out, and that he looks for businesses and companies that he can help that have what he calls pirate ship cultures. So he believes there are two types of cultures in business, if I'm getting this right, by the way. He believes there are battleship cultures and pirate ship cultures within companies. And I'm going to leave that with you. It's quite intriguing. Have a look that up, Google that. I will include a link to an article that Chris had penned, which talks all about it, and you can have a look at that afterwards. But really, really interesting stuff. But it really got me thinking about choosing with respect to what clients you work with. But my mind happens to bounce off such topics and go very deep. And it started getting me into the thought process of, do any of us really choose things like our clients or our relationships or our careers? Or do we take what we can get? Or do we happen to experience what comes at us as opposed to being deliberate in our actions? Do any of us really have the ability to make a choice in the philosophical sense? I used to love reading philosophy around determinism and free will. If any of you are unfamiliar with the concept of determinism versus free will, determinism is different from predestiny or predeterminism or fatalism, which suggests that everything is preordained and that what happens was meant to happen. Determinism actually says that things take place based on cause and effect, and that what happens was always going to happen only based around the formula that it wouldn't have happened had a previous cause not occurred prior to it, which eliminates really the whole concept of free will, because free will suggests you make choices of your own volition, irrespective of your environment or your circumstances. So, which is it? I mean, do we actually choose? Do we actually have an opportunity to truly make those choices? And Peter Russell wrote a really interesting article about this, where he goes into trying to solve the paradox of determinism versus free will. He talks about how in order for there to be free will, then there must be a chooser. And for there to be a chooser, there must be a self or an I that's doing the choosing. And from your perspective, from my perspective, well, isn't that self-evident that there is an I? But neuroscientists have looked into this and they can't find any evidence of an I anywhere within the brain. And what some neuroscientists suggest is that what we believe to be an I is just what we experience physically in the natural world, and that we separate all of our experiences into me and not me, but that there is no true I, that it's simply a mental construct. So there's that possibility. And then there is the possibility that there is indeed a self that chooses, that is deliberate, that is conscious. And when we talk about consciousness, this is where Russell really delves into attempting to solve the paradox, because he says that it isn't necessarily a paradox, that we can have both free will and determinism. Maybe it's two sides of the same coin, and simply a matter of your perspective at the time and place of these actions. So let me give you my interpretation of this, which is, I believe that there are two states of mind one can operate from. The first state of mind is the mindset of the spectator, the subjective individual who steps back and assesses or analyzes life from the outside looking in, simply viewing the causes that affect his life, and in many a sense, the individual allows life to unfold or take place before him. And many of us see this happen. The majority of people end up living a life that has been handed to them, or not necessarily handed to them, but a life of happenstance, where things roll out, things happen, effects take place, and they have the career they have because that's what was offered to them. They have the life that they live because it was a set of circumstances that took place that led them to it. They have the wife or husband that they have because that's who accepted them. They have the friends they have because those are the ones who choose to put up with their insufferable personalities, and so on and so forth. And there is no choosing in that, is there? So this, for me, is the spectator consciousness, the detached consciousness, the comfort zone consciousness, where our brains are on autopilot for our entire lives for the most part. And then there is, and this one really excites me, this is the competitor state of mind. And when I say competitor, it means that you're striving for something. You could be competing with yourself. You could be competing with others in your role, in your space, who are in the same route or pathway that you're traveling down. You may compete against concepts. You may compete against records that have been set. You may compete against your own ambitions. But whatever you're competing with, you are striving for something. You are reaching for something, and you have to be conscious to do that. You have to be fully aware and in the moment, and you're striving for something. And when you're in that space, when you're in that zone, you are making decisions. You are making choices. You're actively involved. You're in the here. You're in the now. And merely by doing that, you have free will. Whether it is an illusion, a mental construct, the way our consciousness or mind seeks to define me from not me, it doesn't matter. Reality is in the eye of the beholder. Reality is as you choose it to be. And I know what I choose. I choose to be a competitor. I choose to be a fighter. I choose to be a striver. I want what I want, and to get there, I am willing to make the calculations and make the hard decisions and make the sacrifices that will ensure it becomes real. What about you? Are you willing to make those sacrifices? Are you willing to make those choices? Are you willing to take the hard route and fight and not put your life on comfort zone, coma, autopilot? Are you not willing to let the winds take you where they may? Are you not just going to surf the wave, but make the wave? Hell, I want to make a tsunami. So, my advice is to wake up, snap yourself out of this dreamlike state. Do not be a spectator, and choose. Choose the life that you want. Choose the career that you want. Choose the partner that you want. Choose the customers that you want. Choose your destiny. Have a great week.